Welcome, everyone, to the Realm Makers live stream. I'm Scott Miner, and I am so glad you're joining me as I talk to S.D. Smith this evening, best-selling author of the Green Ember series. S.D. is one of our keynote speakers at the Realm Makers Writers Conference, taking place July 18th to the 20th this July, at DeVos Place in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I have been waiting for this for quite a few years. We've known Sam for quite a while. This is going to be the 13th annual Realm Makers Writers Conference. However, it'll be the very first Realm Makers Expo. And now this is also at the same venue, same weekend. This will be the 21st annual Christian Game Developers Conference. So there are three great events happening all at the same time. It's going to be a book festival slash fan con slash symposium on Christian storytelling, plus the Realm Makers Writers Conference for authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And at the expo, you're going to meet creators from every form of creative media. It's going to be super exciting with game developers, board games, video games, comic creators, audio drama, you name it, film and television, card games. If you come to the expo, you're going to see it all and have sessions all to yourself. Panel discussions with the celebrities, Mike Naraki, Larry the Cucumber, Katie Lee from Adventures in Odyssey. They are going to be special guests with the Main Street Music Show. That's going to be happening on Saturday, July 19th. 5 p.m. It's a separate ticketed event. It's going to be live Christian sketch comedy audio drama. Like, it's going to be so incredible. They're a fantastic group, but with Mike Naraki and Katie Lee, they're a couple firecrackers, those guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. Another thing S.D. Smith is going to be doing at the expo is he's performing Green Ember live. When I bring him on, I'll ask him when the last time he's done Green Ember live, but we're so excited to have him here on Sunday, pretty much after lunch, for Green Ember live. Performance for families. Everyone under 12 years old is free at Green Ember Live, at the Main Street Music Show, coming to the Realm Makers Expo. The entire event is free for kids 11 and under. So bring your family. Go to expo.realmmakers.com for complete information. But right now, I'm going to bring S.D. Smith on with me. Hello, S.D. Smith. How are you doing?
Hello. I was just causing mischief there in the chat. So you caught me off guard there.
Well,
But
that's what I was counting on, honestly, there. Before we get too much further, I just want to let everybody know that today's live stream and Q&A with S.D. Smith is brought to you by Enclave Publishing and Sky Turtle Press, the event sponsors of Realm Makers Expo. We're really glad to have their sponsorship, and Enclave Publishing is the only Christian publisher who exclusively publishes fantasy and science fiction. And Sky Turtle Press, I can't wait to see what they've done with Fairy Queen. They did a Kickstarter years ago, and they've come out with all sorts of fantastic Kickstarter swag. And I'm hoping they might have some advanced copies available there at the expo, because they've got a lot to send out. Those Kickstarters are full of that. Now, speaking of Kickstarter, now a little bird told me that you're doing a Kickstarter, aren't you?
that's true, and that's funny you mentioned the Fairy Queen because Rebecca Reynolds, the translator there, she's for that. It's like I've known her for many years. She is the best writer I've ever read. Definitely living anyway. She is an absolutely phenomenal writer, like unreal, like probably too good. She's unreal. But yeah, we're doing a Kickstarter right now, and
Great.
yeah, it's exciting. Coming to I think we got like 18 hours left.
Boy, oh boy. Yes, and you're already well past your goal, but we want to encourage everyone on this live stream. If you have not supported the Green Ember Kickstarter, we would encourage you to do that because we love Sam and we want to see this be a big success. So now, oh, let's see. I thought I had that handy, but I'm just going to go over here and grab a link and share it in the chat with you all so that you can find this on Kickstarter. Now, should I have you tell me, or should we show them the little promo first that you had made? Because it's really amazing what you've done with your next book slash video game. Do you want to maybe give a little intro to
Yeah, sure. I'd love
Green
to.
Ember?
I think you're going to show the trailer for the game, but
Yes, yes.
it's pretty neat. I don't know if I let me know if you've heard of somebody doing this before. But there's always obviously been video game adaptations of a film or even a book at times. But
Hmm.
we're doing a book and a video game at the same time, and it's the same story. It's kind of like you can read the new book and you can or together go and play the game, enter into the game, and it's a as far as the Green Ember lore goes, it's a really well beloved character who we're telling his origin story. He's sort of the mentor in the main Green Ember books, and we're telling his origin story. And yeah, it's a really fun game to play, and I'm excited about sharing the book. I love it. I love writing it. It's really a fun, good Green Ember book, I think, and it was fun to create. But yeah, I'd love to I'm glad you're going to share this trailer. You can kind of get a little taste of the adventure.
Here we go. Just a little 1 minute here. Let's show you. That looks super awesome. I can't wait to talk to you about the making of that. We're what I'd like to do is we're going to talk to you about well the inciting moment when you went from like a dad with kids and you're working and you're in the world and there's a moment where things began to whoa, all of a sudden now I'm a successful, well, you are a successful author. I'm the one in our community that isn't the author. I just get to extrovert on everyone's behalf. But
Uh,
I'd really love to spend our time on the live stream talking to you about how your life changed at that moment leading into this world of being a successful author. But in the members only segment, dig into the working together with Brazen Animation and creating this video game because it's so apropos for our expo this year
yeah,
that the writers conference with the authors, Christian authors, fantasy and science fiction, are right next to the game developers. And this has been 4 years in the making. And all of a sudden, like, I'm talking to the folks at Wing for Their Saga. They're putting a game together. I love how all this is seeming to come together at the same time. But for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, this live stream, you're going to get to see everything that we're doing with SD Smith. But at one point, we're going to go dark on Facebook and YouTube. And those of you who are here in the Realm Sphere with the link to the live stream, you'll be participating here in the chat. There's a poll question and Q&A. If you're out on Facebook and YouTube, you'll be watching, but you don't have access to the chat that SD and I see here with us. So if you want to be a part of the Realm Sphere, we're a community of Christians who enjoy fantasy and science fiction. It's about 2,500 authors and about 250 fans, a growing number of fans in our private social network um, as we approach the expo. So just letting you know, we'll kind of wrap up here. And those of you who are here in the Realm Sphere, you're going to get to stay and hear the subscriber only portion. Um, well, Sam, the video game looks fantastic, but I'd love to get into the well, your life had a whole lot before you became a self-published author. I thought I'd just inquire with you about like what was the moment everything changed.
Hmm. I think about a couple of different moments. The stories did come from the Green Ember came from stories that I told my kids, so it was a very organic process. As far as I was writing another book at that time. Well, for years I told the kids the stories, and so that these was sort of our favorite. We called them at the Rabbits at Jupiter's Crossing, and the kids would always want these stories. And oh, Dad, can you tell us more about this? And so I did that for many years, and it was, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but I was writing another book called The Secret of the Valley, and I was, the whole thing of like, it's like a big no to like quit writing what you're working on and switch to writing something else. It's kind of like an amateur move, but big amateur here apparently, because that's what I did. We
I don't
got
know. I heard that advice from a very experienced author, honestly.
to
Uh,
not do it. Oh yeah.
well, just that you should write something new every day,
Oh,
right?
okay.
You know, sometimes the best thing for your current work in progress is to work on something else.
Oh,
Like
I've
that
never heard
was
that.
well, that was Davis Bunn. Davis
What does
Bunn.
he know? I mean, what does he know?
Yeah, he's only at Oxford. You know, he's over the pond.
Yeah, actually. I think my publisher Andrew McKay is like loves Davis Bunn so much. Like he's always talked about him for years. But
He's a very generous
yeah,
author.
he
Yeah.
said that he I think he helped him with an event one time, and it was just like, I love this guy. He's so awesome. But he also was a big fan of his works. Um, so yeah, so I was writing this other book, and my conventional wisdom to me was, you stick with it. You can what I actually do now is, if I have another idea, I'll like, if I get my writing done, or for the day, or I'll just take a little bit of time and write down ideas, so I can like indulge it for a little bit. But it's, the grass is always greener. There's always like something like the something else is always attractive when you've got like kind of a job to do. When you're trying to finish something, and uh, so to me, I gotta try to stay on task. But anyway, I quit writing the book Secret of the Valley because my kids said, "Hey, Daddy, you got to write this story down. You have got to tell us. You've got to write this as a novel." So I was like, I think you're right. It's a really special moment. And so I quit writing that other book, and I started writing the Green Ember. And that was a really tough year, honestly. Just to kind of summarize, it was a very painful year in many, many ways. So I'm looking back, I'm so surprised that anything good came out of that year, because it was such a challenging time in many, many ways. But it's funny how the Lord, in my opinion, the Lord, can use really tough circumstances, or out of a lot of pain, good things can come to life. Or I always think about labor pain and birth, and even though I haven't experienced that it personally, bodily, I've experienced that many times with my wife. And it is amazing how I think the world's sort of set up for that in some ways. The fallen world, anyway. I just think it takes struggle, it takes pain. I think for novelists, we naturally want to avoid pain, and we want to avoid, everybody wants to avoid, that kind of a thing. But there's something, I think, even spiritually, there's so much about that, about joy, and about peace, and about maturity, things that the gifts that can only come on the other side of suffering, or other side of pain. And I think that's true for it's definitely true for characters. We all do it when we're creating characters. We always put them through, terrible times, so they can grow and learn and change and adapt and become interesting, and become, something that makes a story interesting. So I think that's true of us as authors and as human beings as well. And that the Green Ember was certainly a product of that kind of suffering. And I think that may be why it resonates pretty deeply with people who are going through tough times, kids, families who are going through tragedy or tough things. It's countless times I've heard from families going through childhood cancer or a death or um,
Well, it
losing.
matures you very quickly, doesn't it?
It happens so often, and I hear from folks that that just we these books were our stories in the hospital. That's what we clung to, and that just means the world to me. And I never planned for that, but I think the Lord, my favorite expression, an old saying that I don't know where it came from, but it's supposedly an old Scandinavian saying, is that God draws straight lines with crooked sticks. And I just really believe that we don't always know what we give our best offering. And then, boy, with the Green Ember, I'm just astonished. And another turning point was probably, I mentioned him a second ago, but Andrew McKay, whose office I'm sitting in right now, he lives across the street from me. We were working together, and we wanted to start a small independent publishing company. That was our heart and our hope. We'd started a little organization called Story Warren. We'd done a blog for many years, and we'd done a couple of events actually, and we were just kind of getting started trying to do something. Honestly, it might have been like a kid's version of what like Realm Makers is, like, or an element of what Realm Makers is. I think your guys' vision with this is so incredible, but it was some kind of a thing to like serve a community, to serve families and parents and kids. It was definitely oriented towards families. And but anyway, we had this. We wanted to start a small press, and I did not want to publish my own book, maybe ever, but let alone first. But Andrew got really hype about the Green Ember, and he was like, "Dude, I think we should publish this." And I'm like, "Man, I don't know. It's my first novel. I don't think it's that good. I don't know if it's gonna." So I had a lot of doubts, but he was like, "No, I think we should." So we did a Kickstarter then, and that was 10 years ago, and that was the beginning of us sharing this with the world. And so it's really small independent publishing kind of a thing. Andrews has a lot of expertise. It's probably why I wouldn't use the word self-published. I mean, it is technically, it's, I don't know, you can describe it that way.
Independently published, I suppose.
Definitely independent. Yeah, small
Yeah.
indie kind of a thing, because I would never have been able to do it without Andrew. I mean, the way that it was done, for sure. I probably could have, I think people can do it and they learn, and people self-publish it with really high quality. I don't know that I look back, and Andrew was just such a godsend, and we still work together. He and I and my brother Josiah sort of run this small independent company, which now has grown to has 10 people working at it. But we're small then. It was just the two of us, and we were just trying to figure out part-time, just going for it. And we used Kickstarter, and I remember that the Kickstarter went pretty well, but that was like nobody had read it yet. It was just sort of like friendships and reputation, and based on stuff we'd given, just generous people. And we met our goal, and we did, it was a pretty modest return. I think our goal was $10,000, and we did something like 25 or something. But it was great, and we got started, and we got it going. And I remember that was enough to print like 1,500 copies of the book. Got it going out there. And I think so. A moment for me that's very memorable was when I started. It was on Amazon, and I started seeing reviews, and I started seeing a lot of names that I didn't know. And I remember just thinking, like, that's weird. Like, who are these people? Like, how are they finding out about it? I didn't understand. I genuinely at the first, I thought, is my mom like making up like accounts on Amazon just so she can like write glowing that entertained that. I was like, that's kind of like my conspiracy theory, was that she was doing all that. And
Mom.
yeah, don't indulge me. And part of it scared me, because I thought, this is my first book, and I'm going to hopefully get better as a novelist, and this is my first kind of go, and I know that it's not perfect. There's lots of mistakes. So I was almost scared me, excuse me, that it was resonating with people, and it was kind of getting going. And I remember at one point, a few months in, and we were so scared about just, could we make, we don't have any money. We were both missionary kids. We were scared. We were like, if we could just kind of sell out of this first group, we could break even. But we over the next 18 months if we could sell these books or whatever. Anyway, it was a matter of weeks, and we were already selling out of the first print run, and we were just reprinting, and we've kind of been reprinting ever since. And it just astonishingly, we people would come up to us and say, how do what is your marketing plan? How are you doing this? Because the marketing must be incredible. And we were like, marketing, so we weren't doing anything special. It was word of mouth. It was moms mostly sharing with other moms, and it just took off in a way that was really, really surprising and a little bit frightening. I remember seeing a blog post mention it. In those days, I would kind of go and search like Green Ember and see if anybody was saying anything. Try to
Oh,
with
I can
fear
totally
and
relate to that.
trembling.
Yeah.
And I read this post of a person reviewing it on their blog, and they were like, "This book's gotten really a lot of hype," but that was like the first sentence. And I think she went on to say that, but I was really surprised. I really liked it, or something like that. But I remember thinking, like, hype, hype, like my little book out of this hillbilly, out of West Virginia. It was just such a surreal experience to, like,
Yeah.
for someone to look at me as like,
Yeah.
oh, this one's like really got a lot of it. I was like, from who? From who does this have attention? It was just such a surprising experience. And it's always been, so it hasn't really changed much from that. It's just been like, I know the audience better. It's grown, but it's still the same like kinds of people. It's families like ours, like yours, like people who like these kinds of stories. Very, I don't feel any, I feel a lot of gratitude and sort of kinship. Uh, we're on the same side, being like the families out there. Like I'm trying to serve parents. I want to be their allies in imagination. I'm on their team. We're doing this together. I'm in the same boat. I made these for my kids and for their kids, and so we're all on this sort of the same team. So I don't feel like a elite artist who is giving out his brilliant genius and other people now gather around. I've always felt like a little bit more like a working class, or like this is a job. It is special. It's magical. I believe that, but it's also like an ordinary vocation rooted in love and service. And my heart is to serve. And I feel a little bit like a cook, like I'm just like serving up. I hope it's a really good meal. That's my heart and hope. But I don't. I feel like it's a good. That it's a. I feel privileged to have a vocation where I'm serving families and kids. Uh,
I think that authenticity is not only evident when talking to you, but it's in your books.
hmm, thank you.
And I think people perceive that. You
Hmm,
know, the reason you wrote the book isn't because, gee, what can I write that's going to be the best selling? It's going to make me lots of money. You just told a story that came out of your heart in communicating with your kids, and
yeah,
then they said, "This is really good, Dad.
it's
You
true.
should write this down." Um, and that's often how God speaks with us as well.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was really organic, and I appreciate you saying that about it being in the books, because that is it's just true. I mean, whether or not they're great books, or I'm a great writer. I think I'm a good writer, and I think it's a good. I think those are the book. I like the books. I think they're good, and I think there is something special about them that resonates with people. But I don't. But I don't have any delusions that I'm like, that I'm some kind of a great author or anything. I think I'm pretty good at it. And I think think that my heart and what I like, the stories I like to tell, I think a lot of other people like those kinds of stories and want those kinds of, I think it's so, and that organic sort of natural, there's a lot of things about it. I think that just came out of sort of my own experience. That's just, I didn't plan it. It wasn't because I was clever and I was like, oh, this will really, it was nothing like that. So I think I resonate with what you said about just sort of telling an authentic story. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean you don't make stuff up, or, I mean, this is all invention for me, but it is special. I think there is something about sort of being very specific with the stories you tell, like telling a story. If you try to, some people are like, oh, I'm going to try to be the next Harry Potter or the next Narnia, or like,
Yeah,
that's just,
that's the wrong inception point
it
for
is.
telling the best kind of a story, right? It's that inception point where
Yes.
a story's coming out of your heart. Like if you found Green Ember, you wouldn't have had to have written it. If you found other stories that you felt like, oh, I'm really feeding my kids really good,
Mm,
excellent stories, so I can build up brave young men, strong girls who understand what I want them to know
yeah.
about themselves and about God and about each other. when you don't find that, and you've got to create it yourself, as long as, well, I mean, I know it's true because you've discovered them all. Other people are looking for that too.
They are.
And you
Yeah.
really, because you were independent, you could write what you wanted to without everybody else saying, well, now you need to shoehorn this into your
Yep.
book in order for me to publish it. Right. Talking rabbits, that's been done
Right.
before. I got to
I
tell
think
you,
that would have happened.
apparently people don't get enough of talking rabbits.
Yeah.
Like, can't get enough. And with Joe Sutphin around, they're adorable.
Yeah.
And also in Watership Down, they can be a little deadly too.
Oh yeah. Fantastic. I think you're right though. I think that instinct that some people have, if you said it as the inception point, if that is false already, if you're
Yes.
already starting with like what I really want is to be famous and to be celebrated, so I'm going to like try to sort of hack a new Harry Potter or a new thing that's really popular, like, or I'm going to write a Christian Harry Potter, or I'm going to, like, I hear a lot of people say stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, just write the best story you can. And for the people that you love, like that was what I genuinely felt when I wrote the book. I really thought if this goes nowhere, I've already won, because this is a story for my kids. And I love my kids, and like, we'll just have this. It'll be this little relic of our time together. So I already felt like I won. So if you tell a story for your sister or for your grandma or for your friends at church or the young people in your church, or I don't know, whatever, like, do that and do pour your heart into it. I think there's a quote attributed to Henry Now, and I don't know who actually said it. There's some debate, I guess, but that the most personal is the most universal. And I really think that's true. And I love that. I wasn't clever and thought, I know what's going to be hot. I was really disconnected from that, and probably have remained really disconnected from the market, because we were completely outside of the sort of New York market. And we were also outside of the whatever's the Christian market. Like, we were just very genuinely independent and really not tuned in. Probably in some ways it weren't good, but just like, I think it was, we didn't have, but I love, and even to this day, the fact that it's such a privilege to be able to write, and to be able to not have a censor or somebody saying like, no, you can't really do that. I mean, I have accountability and I have people speaking into my life. I certainly my very close with my pastor, and I want to be a person who's under authority and who's able to listen to other people, and certainly want to have feedback from editors and my partners and stuff. That's important. I'm not trying to say I'm a lone genius or something stupid like that.
You've clearly put a good team around yourself.
But that, I think it's true. But I do love the fact that, like, that when I show up to work, I'm working for kids. Like, I'm working for families, and I get to serve them, and I don't have to fake the enthusiasm. Like, that's, I mean, obviously work is hard, and there's disappointment and there's discouragement and that kind of thing. But to love a child, to love a kid that's sitting somewhere in Africa or China or North Carolina, and they're reading a little story and they smile and they laugh, and maybe they encourage to a certain kind of bravery, or it helps them endure suffering, or they just laugh and they just smile and they just feel like hype because it's a cool story like that. I mean, I wouldn't trade places with anybody in any king. I mean, that's a cool job, and it's a privilege. And I've had jobs where I kind of
Absolutely.
had to, like, maybe sell something, or like, you should really, but I don't, my heart's not fully in it. Not that it would violate my conscience, but just that my heart wasn't fully. But for this, man, it's easy because I don't have to fake it. I love these kids. I love them. And so I want to give them the absolute best gift. If it's 100 of them or a million of them, I don't care too much. I want to serve them. And so I feel like I hit the lottery with the privilege of being able to write stories for kids. I mean, what a gift.
Well, yours is an amazing story. And what I love about what I get to do is, I'm not creating the books. I get to meet authors like you and other authors who come to Realm Makers, and I essentially get to say, hey, I think I know where your readers are. Let's go to a homeschool convention,
Hmm.
right? And bring them and give them some of them. It's their first opportunity to hand sell their books to people. But I hate to put it in the sense that like I'm selling the authors, but I'm giving the authors an opportunity to meet their
Oh,
fans. You know,
jackpot, man. I mean, people would kill for that. Like, the opportunity, you are a facilitator, and a leader. And I mean, authors feel so lonely and so discouraged so much, which I know you just know so many, but to have somebody like you that just like looks at somebody and says, hey, I see value in what you're doing, and I want to support you, encourage you, I want to get you with other people in the community so you can encourage each other and bless each other. And like what you're doing is unbelievable. I mean, it is unbelievable. It's so I am just it's like the kind of thing that you just kill for. When you're just so hungry for fellowship and companionship, and fellows along the way, and you've just provided that for so many people. And I mean, I think that's unbelievable, especially since you are not an author yourself. I know you are in proximity to a particular special author, but the fact that you just care and that you're using your gifts, which are different than a lot of authors have. A lot of authors have blind spots or weaknesses in areas where you have strength, and you've used that to serve so many creative people. I think it's just phenomenal.
I appreciate that, SD. But that's where I feel a bit of a kinship with you in the sense that at the beginning, where you have the idea, you don't know if it's any good. You don't know if other people are going to really come on board. I'm like, this is kind of crazy. I'm suggesting getting this, big space at a homeschool convention and booking an Airbnb, and I invite some people to come, and like everybody I invite says yes. I'm like, how does that happen?
Uh,
Like, is
you get
this
some
actually a
ringers,
good
man.
idea? Like what are we doing here? Um, and our success, it took a number of years to really materialize, as with any good thing. But when the inception point is connected to Jesus, when
Mm,
it's connected to family, when you're talking about what you're doing and the feedback you're getting from God's people and from reading His Word further encourages you, and you go and you talk to other leaders and you just keep learning and being encouraged that this is what God would have me do.
mm,
You are, well, it's easier to commit when things get difficult to get through that crisis.
mm.
I wondered if, after the point where things really started going, if there was any, ordeals or obstacles that you had to overcome. Uh, well, hello, 2020, but sometimes for an author, that that spurs a lot of people reading. Some people actually had some that was the beginning of some people's careers
Mm.
in writing. What was your experience in terms of an ordeal, if you had one? Maybe it's been smooth sailing.
It's all been easy, man. No problems at
Yeah,
all.
because when you do what God would have you do, the problems just go away, right?
Absolutely. Well, I love what you were describing. I think what the word that I kept thinking of when you were talking was vocation, was calling, and I think it's fascinating that the first time in scriptures we see someone who is filled with the Holy Spirit, it's Bezalel and Oholiab, the artists making the tabernacle. And so the first time in the Bible someone's being mentioned as being filled with the Holy Spirit, it is an artist, a craftsman who makes all kinds of different things. And so this I think there's something powerful, and I would encourage any author or kind of creative type of person, artist of any kind, like to go read that. It's really really validating. It's really really powerful story. Um, and I just feel like that sense of calling, I relate to that so much. And actually, that's a pretty big theme in the Green Ember books. I think is this sense of vocation, and I think that's a powerful. I mean, it's a powerful uh, reality and concept. I think, and I think you're right that it sort of does keep you through the difficult days. And man, there has been a lot. Yeah, the pandemic thing we were together. I think we together in Texas when it happened. Were we at the Great Homeschool
No,
Convention?
I did not go to that Texas
You weren't
event.
at that one. Okay.
No, no, no. We had right in 2020, February 2020, we were at the Teach Them Diligently conference,
Okay.
which right before that, a day before we left for Teach Them Diligently, we got back from a cruise,
Oh
an
well.
8-day cruise. So cruise ship, that's an
Perfect place to
incubator
be.
for anything, right? And on driving down to that event, I was like, "Oh, honey, I'm not feeling so well. Maybe we should get our own hotel and not stay with Lauren, just to keep whatever I'm getting, to myself." And so we just got our own hotel room, and I ended up knocking it out with, well, a couple of days of Dayquil and Nyquil. But the other folks who were there with us, a day or two afterwards, and in each case it lasted about 4 days.
Hmm.
But we did not go on to Texas.
Yeah. Okay.
But I heard about what happened there.
Yeah.
It just stopped it in the middle of the conference.
Yeah, yeah, it was in the middle. It was kind of everybody was. I remember that. Yeah, the NBA got canceled that day, and I was like, okay, I think it might be serious. There might be
Yeah.
something. I was like, how are we going to get home? But that was a curveball. We intended. Well, I spent the previous year writing a lot, and then 2020 was going to be the travel year, and I was going to take my kids, to my oldest two kids, to California. We were going to do a tour all through California up the coast. We'd done a little one years before, but we had so many dates planned and so many things, and we were 6 days in. We were at our second event, and 6 days into our like national tour kind of a thing, and it got, we were going home, and probably not as big of a curveball for some people, as because we homeschool, and I work from home when I'm not on the road, and so it was easier to manage probably for us. The church that we are involved with, was a church plant, and our pastor moved to our community in March of 2020. So we were in Texas when he was moving in. So interesting curveballs kind of all around. But I wrote, I loved that time in many ways. I mean, I personally just had a fruitful season of writing at home during that time, and a lot of time spending with the family and that kind of a thing. So, yeah, that was definitely a curveball, and there have been several things, maybe not of that magnitude, but several things that haven't gone, perfectly. Or I feel, as an author, I don't know if you're like this or if Becky's like this, but I bet a lot of people in the realm sphere probably feel this way. You're sensitive people, because that's part of your capacity to sort of tell good stories. You're empathetic, and um, you sort of, you're probably a deep feeler. You're sensitive, probably somewhat introverted. A lot of us, and you notice a lot of things, and you see a lot of things, and you feel a lot of things. Your antennas are sort of up, and I'm one of those people. So I feel intensely, uh, pain, or disharmony, or that kind of a thing, and uh, so there's probably been there have been a lot of times, I think, for me, where I'm tempted. I mean, I'll just be honest and say that today's been one of those days where you're tempted to believe a lot of lies. You're tempted to believe a lot of things about, you know, you're a failure. This is not resolvable. This is who you are. That kind of a thing. About a lot of stuff about identity. I think the enemy tells a lot of lies about our identity and who we are and what we're, gives us a story about what's going to happen that's kind of rooted in anxiety and fear more than truth and faith. And I think that's been the battle of my life. Probably that's been I can perform well in some areas, as far as like it doesn't solve your problem to like sell a lot of books. It solves some problems, and it's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to like have a little bit of success as an author, but it doesn't sort of fix a lot of your fundamental problems. Um, and it creates new ones. It's kind of like Ecclesiastes, talks about, as goods, as sort of wealth increase, the mouths increase that eat them. It's different challenges. Um, Certain kinds of success breeds other kinds of challenges. So I think a really important component for me has been having people in my life that tell me the truth. And I think my brother Josiah particularly is one of those people that, I mean, I've been walking to an event where I'm going to speak to 500 people or something, and just thinking, what am I doing here? Like, why does anybody? No one needs to listen to me. I don't have, what in the world? Just real despair and real, and him just saying, like, kind of reframing my story to me, telling it to me again, in where my identity is rooted in Jesus Christ, and not in my feelings for the moment, and rooted in the reality of his coming kingdom and his truth and truth about his love and acceptance of me based on the work of Jesus Christ, and just tell me the truth, and tell me what my role is and where I fit in, and the value that I do have. And so sometimes people are like, if they see that I've had a little bit of success here or there, they're kind of they want to quickly caution me, like, well, Bill, stay humble, or stay, somebody, especially people who don't know me very well, but the people who know me better, maybe like a pastor or a brother, are more like, they know that I probably need a shot in the arm, that I probably need that story to be, because I'm already telling myself I'm
Right,
probably
right.
naturally telling myself some lies. So I think you find those people that tell the truth to you, and encourage you, and are coaches for you, not just critics, and not just joining the sort of the chorus of lies that you might be tempted to tell yourself. And be brave to embrace the truth. And I think that's when I've done that, I'm more generous, I'm more hospitable, I'm more humble, I'm more grateful. And I want that to be the theme of my life story. It isn't always, but that's my hope. It's kind of like, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. That's, I want to keep going in
Sure.
that direction.
Well, I believe firmly that the closer a creator stays to the truth, which is grounded in Jesus, the
Mm-hmm.
closer you stay grounded in truth, the more sustainable your life is going to be, your family is going to be, and your creative career
Mm-hmm.
is going to be, as opposed to, like, I went to art school. It's almost entirely just secular, very few Christians, and in art school. And the creative process always seemed grounded in, like, when it was grounded in crisis, like crisis, like you expressed, can drive you to creativity, but it always seemed to be compounded by abuse,
Mm-hmm.
abusing substances or abusing other people, or just it was not pleasant and not grounded in truth. It was grounded in lies. And as a community at Realm Makers, we try to stay grounded in truth, as much as everyone comes from so many different walks of life. Um, we at we try to stay focused on Jesus. The closer we all get to Jesus, the closer we get to the truth, the closer we get to each other. And if any of us is going a little bit too far afield, being in this Christian community is going to help keep them grounded, as opposed to saying, wait, you used that word in your last book? You're not Christian enough, you know, to be in our group. It's like, oh my word, like, who could possibly hold up to that? Like, oh my goodness, you saw this one word I used and now I'm not Christian enough for you. Or you saw this post I put on Facebook and now I guess, well, you think, how can you call yourself a Christian? You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's what draws a lot of the folks who come to Realm Makers together, is simply because they hear that about just the genre that they write: fantasy, science fiction.
Yeah.
A lot of the authors at Realm Makers are might be superhero romance, definitely further away than, Talking Rabbits, Mike Naraki, and Talking Squirrels.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy, a sense that you have these anthropomorphic animals, you know, battling, but then you put them in outer space, or there's all sorts of things you could do to seem to get further and further removed from reality, so to speak.
Mm.
But Andy Wilson, who's another keynote speaker at our conference this year, he did our keynote in 2020 when we went virtual.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things, well, what his keynote was all about was, he said, people ask me why I write fantasy. And I tell them it's because I'm a realist.
Yeah. I
We
believe that.
live in a fantasy world,
Yep.
and just described the earth in terms
Yep.
that seem like a fantasy world.
It
You
is.
know,
It is.
I plucked this apple from a tree that's made from, dirt, water, and starlight,
Yeah.
and I put it into my mouth. I live on this ball that's going, tens of thousands. I don't know how fast the earth rotates, but it
And don't even get
rotates really fast.
and don't even get me started about how we get people. That's talk
Exactly,
about a fantasy
exactly.
story. That's not something that would be believable if you didn't experience it. It's not. It's just a yeah. How we get food, how we get people. Yeah, and absolutely, we live in a
The
fantasy world.
fantasy worlds we create are so more simplistic than
Yeah,
our real world, you know?
totally, totally.
And all you got to do is go 30 feet underwater and you're in a whole nother fantasy world,
Yeah,
that we know less about than we do outer space, you
yeah.
know? But it's really amazing, but it's a very difficult place to live for authors who are writing fantasy and science fiction. And so we're glad to have you coming to join us at Realm Makers,
Oh,
simply to add your voice, you know perhaps you have opinions about magic, no magic or magic. There's an author we've been asking to come speak, and he's like, nah, I don't think I'm right for your group. Is very committed to like no magic in the fantasy. And I'm like, I want your voice to be added to ours,
cool.
right? Some of our authors might need to hear what you have to say.
Hmm.
You people have to hear. I think what you're doing is, I think you've gone too far.
Hmm.
Like, people need to be willing to hear
Yeah,
that, even if they decide, but this is what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm in line with what God would have me do,
yeah.
and here's why, and to be able to have that conversation.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas other Christian writers conferences, it's well, then some of the conversations we have at Realm Makers are really unique. Like, at the expo, and we've had this conversation before. You know, um, Brent Weeks is going to be leading a panel with ND Wilson,
Yeah.
and
How can I get on
he
that, man? I like those are two of my favorite authors. Those, and
really.
I'm friends with Nate, but I've never met Brent, so I'm so
Well,
excited.
Brent writes really dark
Yeah, yeah,
fantasy,
yeah. I've
right?
read it.
And so, I mean, he has profanity in his books and adults manipulating each other and all sorts of ways that adults manipulate each other.
Yeah.
Um, and he had the idea for a panel discussion. His suggestion was, WTF should Christians do with rated R scenes? And for the internet, what we put on, we're going to do WTH. I wasn't sure, should we WT exclamation point, like, but I'm like, I think that's Brent's point.
Yeah.
you know what do we do with it, because
Yeah.
if we could look at our own lives and go like, well, this period, like, this was not for public consumption. This scene
Mm,
in my life, in my childhood, in my parents experience, and what I was exposed to, like, this was really not PG.
hmm.
How do you write about these stories
Yeah.
without and have it be something that is going to impact people? So the
I got to go to that. I'm excited. I want to go to that panel. That's exciting. I'd love to hear from those guys. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I think ND's not going to be so much like, he's not going to be like a teetotaler necessarily, but definitely
No.
kind of address with nuance in a very sophisticated way what Christians might need to learn from some of the authors who are digging into this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
won't go
Nate's
too much
good.
further into. Yeah.
He's good on that subject. I mean, I think he'll be because he's a really robust respect for the scriptures, and obviously, what just look at the scriptures, and a lot of it is not rated G,
Right.
and that's a little bit of a model for I have people telling me, hey, wait a second, you had something, you had to witchcraft or a little bit of like this magic in the story, and I'm like, yeah, like the Bible, like less than the Bible has, and it was
Hmm.
clearly depicted as. But yeah, I think Nate's got a really good perspective on that stuff, and his books are fantastic on that front. So that'll be a really cool thing. This Realm Makers event's starting to sound pretty good to me. I think I might go.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you are going to be there, and you're going to be involved in everything. Exhibiting in the expo, performing Green Ember Live. When was the last time that you've done Green Ember Live? I'm curious.
It's been a little while. Boy, I'm trying to think when we did it last. It has been a while. I mean, I think it's
Well, you
probably
don't need
been
to
a
know
year and a
exactly.
half or maybe 2 years.
Okay.
It's been quite a while. Yeah,
Well, hopefully people will be itching to come and see you do that.
It's fun. It's a fun. There's an unpublished Green Ember story that's pretty funny and fun, and there's music, and it's I don't. I really enjoy it a lot. I like speaking to groups, but something about the Green Ember is more relaxing to me. Even though I'm playing music and like performing, whatever. Uh, there's something relaxing about it. I think it's because it's not listen to Sam say smart things, in his brilliant talk or whatever. Like there's a little bit less pressure. It's like we're doing something together and it's a story. And so it's almost like I like that the attention of the audience is fractured a little bit, and not just on like, oh, is he going to say something that's really brilliant or good or, encouraging or what. I like doing that too. If it's possible, I'll try to do my best in a talk or a session. I like that, but there's something relaxing to me about just like, oh, we're just gonna sing some songs together and tell a story. I don't know. It's like, almost like I'm saying like, oh, just look at the Green Ember here. Don't just look at my bald head. It's a little more. There's something about that is fun to me, and kids. I like looking out and just seeing the kids smiling and just real fun thing for the family to enjoy.
Awesome. Well, for anyone watching, if you are interested in plugging into Realmmakers Expo, we would invite you to go to expo.realmmakers.com. It's going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, July 18th to the 20th, coming up in just about 50 days now.
Wow.
And
Cool.
it's coming too soon, but I'm really looking forward to it. We're trying to make sure that we bring thousands of fans to the event. It's a tall order, but we're doing everything that we can. And if this is a success, Sam, we're going to be doing Realmakers Expo all over the country. Right? But
That's
this
so
first
exciting.
one has got to dot all its I's and cross all its T's, so to speak.
I hope it. I'm excited about it. We shared a bunch of cards about the event, like when we were up in Michigan in the Lansing area, and heard from a lot of
Excellent.
people, a lot of families that said they were going to come, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun. I think that's really cool that you're letting in kids under 12. Did you say for free? I mean, that's
Yes, 11 and under are
okay.
free to the expo. They're free to Green Ember Live. They're free to the Main Street Music Show.
That's cool. That's going to be fun.
And
That takes pressure off of families. That makes it a lot easier for families to say yes, I think, and budget friendly way. So that's I hope lots of people come. I'm really looking forward to meeting folks there, and yeah, it's going to be a good time.
that's my hope. That's my hope. Well, what I'm going to do, because we've had a fantastic conversation at this point, we are going to move on to the uh, subscriber portion of our live stream. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube, we're going to say sayonara. And if you are interested in becoming a subscriber to the Realm Sphere, visit community.realmmakers.com. And that is our community of, Christian authors of fantasy and science fiction, but also a growing number of fans. It's a private social network, so there's no politics, no spam, no ads, no nothing. It's all realm makers all the time, all Christian authors and fans of fantasy and science fiction. So you can plug in there without any of the, well, you know how social media is. It's got none of that. But thank you all for joining us. Those of you who are here in the Realm Sphere, stick around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video of Sam where he's talking to you about the video game. It's like the 3-minute video thing, and then once it's over, we're going to come to the Q&A. So stay with us.
It's tough for parents to find media they're excited to share with their kids. I know because I'm a parent like you. I'm SD Smith, and I created the Green Ember. Now, kids love the Green Ember, and parents love it just as much because these are virtuous, adventurous stories that you inhabit. It's fun, but not only fun. These are soul-shaping, memory-making, darkness-shaking adventures. But what if the next Green Ember book wasn't just a book? That's right, we're making a game, a video gamization of the newest Green Ember novel. And for new folks, this is a great place to begin your Green Ember journey. You don't have to catch up on anything. I'm in a minivan. In this epic adventure, young Helmer is a farmer who must become a fighter. He's a beloved character, and this is his thrilling origin story. How cool is this? This is a book and it's video gamization releasing at the same time. We want your kids to have an immersive experience in the Green Ember world, but we've designed this game so they can come up for air. There are no microtransactions asking for money so you can level up, no zombie cannibal poker ads interrupting the fun. In fact, there are no ads at all, and there are no player chats connecting your kids to unsavory characters. I mean, there are bad characters in the game, but you fight them with your sword. This game is a throwback to the ones I loved growing up. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a good story. Because that's what's happening. You're playing the story. We know families want balance and to avoid wasted time on screens, and we agree. We've included our Time Steward Adventure Journal to help families and kids track time and use it wisely. I see you. I know the challenges you face because I'm a dad and I face them too. Everything we make is from a heart of love and service to you and your family and your precious kids. It's easy to complain about the state of media and the culture, but we're doing something about it. We are your allies in imagination and we are fighting for you. But it takes a big investment to grow the Green Ember off the page. If you want to see this kind of hopeful, hospitable media, then join us. And the truth is, I want you to back the Kickstarter at the highest tier you're able, because I believe this is a wonderful gift for your family and for kids all over. I'm SD Smith, and I'm on your side.